That's right, kids. PalWorld. Here we go. That's right, kids. Alright, just a quick audio check there. Yep, so this will be fun. I've been enjoying this game for, let's check my Xbox stats here real quick. Where did I find that last time? God, I feel so inept. I've been so busy on my Switch before I got into this. I think I went under official club. Yep. Progress. Here we go. Stats. 2 days, 18 hours, 26 minutes. I've been at this non-stop with my fiance and enjoying just about every second of it that I'm not falling through a map. You guys did good on this game, Pocket Pair. Do have some small bugs that I wish you'd work on. Map stability is key in a game like this, and it really needs some work. Anyway. I've also been apprised of a certain controversy relating to this on Twitter. You know what I gotta say to that? No one cares. I think Asmongold had it pretty well. I think Asmon has it pretty well pegged. Complaining about uniqueness or general authenticity of not being a quote-unquote rip-off originality or whatever, however you want to put it, is pointless. At this point in time in gaming, you're not gonna do it. You're not gonna do it, and if you do manage to do it, it's probably gonna suck. Just speaking a little bit of truth there, to be honest, because it's not gonna fit some paradigm of what someone wants. Just like how certain people on Twitter aren't gonna fit a paradigm of what you want because they don't say the stuff that you want to hear. Well, newsflash for you, people don't exist to say things that you want to hear. They say what they want, and you either listen to them or choose to ignore them. That is how it works. Some other conflicts and stuff that I managed to come across on YouTube and Twitter today, but I don't think I'll get into those because they're kind of disturbing. Like, really disturbing stuff. But there is one that I might touch on. I don't know. Like, I think I can talk about it without going into the legal schmeagle details of it, but, like, it's actually not hard to appear through your web address to be someone else if you have the right gear to do it. Your IP address, for example, you can fake your IP address and your physical address at that IP address. It's really not that hard. You don't even need a VPN to do it. You need like 3 pieces of hardware and a older modem router with a wireless hookup and a USB plug or a way to put a USB plug in it and the correct program software. It's a thing. Don't believe me? Go find a real hacker somewhere and ask them. They'll tell you the same thing. You can appear as anyone you want to. And also, you can make an email address appear like it came from any address that you want it to. The reality is just that. Like, if you have the skills to pay the bills, so to speak, you can make it happen. Now, the situation I'm talking about, I'm not going to go into the vast details of it. I just don't think it's a good idea for people to pontificate on whether someone did bad thing or not without actually having the evidence to prove their guilt affirmative. And what that means is that you have 2 different types of evidence. You have stuff that could link them to this thing that they did or didn't do, and then you have evidence that says, yes, they did this thing. And right now, the way that I understand the situation is, we have evidence that says they could be linked to this thing, not that they did this thing. I'm not going to say yay or nay, or who or what I'm referring to, because there's a lot of really bad stuff associated with it, and I don't feel comfortable talking about it on this channel, but I think it does flow to another problem that we have, and it's the same thing with PalWorld. Twitter is like a cesspool of toxin. In fact, I'd argue that most social media places are a cesspool of pure poison and vitriol. Um, and it's mostly done by a very small handful of people on these platforms. I would argue that if you get to know the right people, or if your audience is the right people, you're probably, you're probably not experiencing this kind of thing, but there are people who are. Now, as to PalWorld ripping off Pokemon, man, that is pretty laggy, guys. Stability, please. Well, I mean, I can see similarities. And I mean, you can argue whatever you want to argue. Like, you could argue a ham sandwich isn't a ham sandwich if you want to, but that's your prerogative. You could say it's a fancy cold hot dog or whatever. It's a hamburger with pork instead of beef. I would call you a moron at that point, by the way. Just saying. But like, no, all right. I really, really don't think that this is a rip-off of Pokemon. I think they saw a need that Pokemon hadn't filled. Like, Sword and Shield was alright. It wasn't great. Legends Arceus was better, but not by much. And Scarlet and Violet was good, but not great. And people wanted great. And that was the need that these people are trying to fill. Are they doing a good job at it? Well, their sales number on Steam seems to indicate that they are. I personally think that if you do a good thing, I'm going to quote my views on Christian faith here for just a moment. You can be a good person and still go to hell. You can make good materials and still burn in hell. These are facts in the Christian faith. It's just the way that it is. Unless you accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, yeah, you're not going to have a fun time turning and burning in hell. And if you think you are, you're deluding yourself, and that's just the way that it is. That has nothing to do with me. That has more to do with you and your ego than it does me, and me saying that, hell is not a pleasant place. And on that note, this game, I personally, not that I'm a legal expert, nor am I a game designing expert, even though I'm quote-unquote working on a title. I don't know how well that's going to end up, but we'll see.
Yep.
Nothing special here at all. Whatever happens. I'm putting my thoughts and ideas out there as far as, what I can offer. And whether it's good or not, we'll see. I think these guys had the same attitude on all of their games, if we're being blunt. I don't think these games that they've made merit the amount of vitriol that people want to throw at them because of the Pokestan fan base that wants to go all, Allahu Akbar on their own personal friggin' credibility just to piss on a dev that happened to make a couple $1 million off of a game that's not actually that bad. And there are going to be Pokestans out there that say, oh my god, he's loving this game and hating on our precious Pokemon game, blah blah. No, dude, I'm not. I like Pokemon, actually. Gen 1 fanatic over here. I love Gen 1. I love the fact that it had the glitches that it did, and it was very endearing that it had those. Now, the problem that we're running into here is people like me, generally speaking, have noticed a certain content drought problem that Pokemon has had over the last 3 or 4 games, in their series. And it's fine. It happens in games that have a series. But when something comes out that says, hey, yo, I think that you're not filling the need of your fan base, and I'm going to appeal to people that are on a different platform with material that, that is similar to yours, but isn't an exact one-to-one. I mean, look at this. This is Dire Wolf. Or Dire Howl. Sure, it looks like it could be a Pokemon. Is it actually a Pokemon-based design? I don't think so. I mean, do these creatures look like Pokemon? Yeah, sure. Okay, fine. But they're actually pals. They're not Pokemon. They're your pals. And do I think there's a better word they could have used for that? Oh, I'm sure there is. But the game is what it is. I mean, look at this cute little goober. You're gonna see stuff like this in Pokemon, but in this game, I can take that cute little goober and slaughter him at my base if I had the meat cleaver, which I don't intend to use, but if I have to, I will. And by the way, this is coming from a person that did this. Alright? And I did this willingly, knowing that I could do it. See, you can catch monsters in this game. Sure, that's fine. You can also catch the bad guys and thugs and people. If you get their health low enough, you can probably catch it. Like, I don't know if the game was put that way intentionally. I think it's funny as crap because you can make them do stuff around your base, but they are really buggy. I noticed a guy that I had one of these, I think it was this one, working at my base earlier as kind of a gag. And, like, he wouldn't even take full steps. It was like his foot would stop where his other foot was, and he'd slowly lurch forward, like, and, it was pretty rough. But, like, yeah. Alright, let's see here. Azure Robe kind of reminds me of the Dragon Airline. And, also actually closer to Snivy and its evolutionary line, except it's a water dragon type. That's fine. I don't see a problem with that. I think the graphical details on the underside are a little bit overly pixelated, and I don't know if that's intentional or not. That could just be the fact that I'm playing this on the Xbox via Game Pass. I don't know. I don't have a high-powered gaming PC. I have a friggin' laptop. Most of my streaming stuff is done off of a friggin' laptop, guys. Go figure. Nice $100 monitor from Walmart, right? That actually does the job pretty darn well. And here I am using a laptop that probably has a market value of cheaper than the monitor. So, like, yeah. I'm obviously not playing this on PC. I mean, controller. Duh. That's why my hands are always right here. Oh, yes, this is fun, too. I kind of picked this spot for my second base because of this. This is kind of funny, too. Yeah, go jump in a hot spring if you're depressed. Watch this. This is how dumb the AI is in this game, and I just, have been exploiting the crap out of this. You get tons of mineral ore, the ore here that constantly respawns off of, 3 or 4 nodes. And your enemies don't usually make it to your base. There's, one way in and one way out, and that's the bridge. And when they come from this way, they get stuck down there and don't know what to do. So then people like me get to come down here and do stupid stuff like this. Yeah, I'm not cheap. You know what? When it comes to killing stuff in games, the easiest way I can kill something, usually the better. gonna let me do it for my channel? Probably not. No, it's not gonna do it. But the fact that you're seeing the animation for yourself, I mean, yeah, the percentage is low unless you have the red ball. But apparently, the fact that you can try it is enough controversy to cause issues on Twitter. Never mind the fact that, by the way, I totally just murdered that guy, which is, in a lot of ways, kind of worse than making him work for me for free for, you know, however long I see fit. You know, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, slavery's fucking god-awful, and some people from back in the day would have probably rather died. I'm not saying that that's not necessarily the case. In fact, I'd actually go back to my point that I made in an earlier video, that slavery has been around as long as humanity's been around, and so has narcissism and murder, and thinking that you're somehow above a specific person or a group of people has been kind of the MO for humanity for so friggin' long. I'm not saying that it's right, I'm just saying that it's a thing. It exists. And any attempt to deny that it exists is just like, it's naive or it's intellectually dishonest. Really. Like, I'll give the naive somewhat of a pass because, you know, that's just, like, bad education. But if you're purposefully being intellectually dishonest about it, then you don't need to be here. Like, you don't need to be on my channel. You don't need to be on a channel at all. You need to be in a mental institution realizing that your world is not the cute and fluffy place that you want to make it out to be. And that's the reality of the world. Like, I've accepted it. I've been homeless about 5 different times over the course of my adult life, and theoretically could have been once homeless over the course of my life as a child. If you want to label living out of a tent for a summer, you know, as being homeless. And by the way, I'm not just talking about a week here, I'm talking about a whole summer, and also living out of a public school for like 2 weeks. Yeah, long story, not going to tell it. And actually, I say that, but I say that in the best possible way, because actually being in that public school like that was possibly the most fun that I had. Like, it was like living in the biggest house you could ever be in, but there were more books in it than I could have counted at the time. I was only in like 3rd grade. I was actually just starting just before my 3rd grade year. There were more books, comic books, and computers in that place than I could have imagined. And, like, if I was given free reign over that as an adult, I would probably still be reading the same books that I read back then, which was The Adventures of Tintin, the Super Mario Brothers animated comic book that came out that was, like, that thick. Call it manga if you want. That's up to you, I guess. But, like, it was fun for me. And playing Lemmings on the computer and using the break room microwave or the cafeteria to make Hot Pockets ramen or whatever we bought at the store. It was great. Like, you could set me up in a building that's exactly like that school. And aside from how far apart, like, the computer lab and the library were, like, it was fun for me. It was great. Bear in mind, this is back when, you know, MBK was, like, the game of the friggin' school, and Lemmings was awesome on the Mac computers, and what other games did we actually have? There was this one, like, old Western game that had, like, this sort of facts about the Old West and yada yada yada, and you could go into the mine, and you played as a miner with a slingshot, and you had to shoot the bats with a slingshot. I forget the name of it, and if anyone watches this can comment down below, I'd appreciate it. But, like, it was great. I'm not dogging on it. I'm just saying, like, you know, it wasn't home. It was a school, but I wish it was home. Yeah, it was great. It's one of the few times in my life that I felt like I was genuinely in a place that I felt like I could live, giving me a giant building to run around in that had a playground that I could just go out and play in if I so chose. It was great as a kid. And as an adult, would I like that? maybe not in the exact same stuff, but like having a giant library of books. I already have the computers and video game stuff covered, but having a giant library of books, welding shop, auto shop, computer repair shop, kind of combined into one outside of my home where I live, and increase the size of my home by like a factor of 2 to 3. Yeah, I mean, sure. Actually, yeah. I mean, if my channel ever blew up to that point, or if I could ever make a video game that sold at any degree, or, you know, made a book or something that made me money to do that stuff, yeah, you, not gonna lie, I'd probably forget to record YouTube videos. I'm gonna be honest about that one. Like, I would probably be too busy living life at that point. If we want to be completely 100% about it, sure. Absolutely. I would be fixing people's cars for the fun of it, not because of me getting paid for it. Although the pay would be a welcome add-on too, because, you know, when you put your time into something, you absolutely should get, you know, compensation for it. I don't disagree with that idea. I think that that's actually absolutely a thing. And I think that when it comes to my YouTube channel being a flop and only getting me viewing it as a supervisory role for the chat, I mean, if we're being honest about that, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm not entertaining. I'm nowhere near entertaining enough for YouTube. I know that. But I also know that eventually... Oh, crap, I totally did that. Eventually, at some point... at some point, someone should see this stuff at some point, and they'll hear what I had to say about stuff, and eventually, maybe, they'll see my promotion for whatever I make, and hopefully, I can get it to double over. I don't intend to turn this channel completely into a shill for my attempt to make money off of something that I make, albeit it'll probably be used for that to some degree. But there's no guarantee that it'll be that 100%, and I'm not gonna. I would never do that. Like, I'll advertise my product, sure, but like, it's not all my channel's gonna be is my product. Because let's face it, my product probably isn't gonna do that great. Just being honest. Video games, comic books, and movies have kind of a weird market. Well, not really weird market. It's actually a very straightforward market. But like, when you're trying to get into it, you have to expect the fact that you're going to fail. That doesn't mean that you stop failing. You keep failing until you get one, until you succeed. You know. And before people get too far about how far we are on the game, I'm not going to give a release date. I'm not going to do any of that jazz. You'll get it when we release it, basically, is what it boils down to. And I know that's not very customer friendly, but like, I don't intend to be held. Ooh, herb roasted lamb ball. Nice. Can I get away with 2 of them? Sweet. Also, fun little semi-cheat for this part of cooking things and crafting things in this game. If you don't want to go through the process of trying to get your pal to do it for you. They make these really awesome clamps are dead at Dollar Tree, so, like, yeah, just do that, and kind of kick back and relax for a little bit. You know, yeah, probably terrible for my controller, if we're being honest, but, I figure I drop the thing and beat on it, not my controller anyway. I figure that if a little itty-bitty clamp damages my controller, then, yeah. Honest talk, though, about this game, let's think about this for a minute. I have yet to see any actual swearing in the game. There's no blood and guts, but the violence is there. You know, they probably do, some of the NPCs probably swear a little bit, but I'm not sure. I didn't really pay too much attention, because when I talk to an NPC, it's more to get some of them to drop the free item, or they're a merchant. The whole slavery and killing critters thing, we could totally have a conversation about that, I guess, but, like, uh, take away your supermarkets and your Walmarts and stuff, and what are you doing to survive? Like, really, if you want to have that conversation about killing the critters, you want to have a conversation about the slavery tidbits in this game, they're animated online critters, I would argue that that's not necessarily slavery. Like, come on. That's like saying playing StarCraft, your soldiers are your slaves. Um, you know, that's kind of how I look at it. Or like, ooh, you're playing black and white, but you're slaving your people. Well, that's the nature of the game. Like, if you don't like the game that I'm playing, go to a different video. If you don't like the game in general, then play a different game. I mean, that's really kind of what it boils down to, is like, where consumerism doesn't fail is when you have enough options. And once you have enough options, it's like, dude, if you don't like it, go find something else to do. It's that simple. Just literally that simple. And I think when most people argue and want to complain about this stuff, they're just looking for something to argue and complain about. Like, they have nothing better to do with their time. I could probably go delve into the cesspool that is Twitter and most other social media pages and be like, yeah, and just totally bring in the proof and the receipts if I really wanted to, but I'm really not that litigious and that meticulous when it comes to things. Like, if you want that from a YouTuber, Asmon's out there, bring it up with him. I'm sure he'll bring you plenty of examples of people, just looking for a problem that doesn't exist, or making a problem out of something that should never have been a problem, just because they have nothing better to do with their freaking time. I'm not actually going to make 92 breads here. I'm going to leave that for the monsters to do. They can cook, one of them can cook, and I'm just not going to sit here and do that. Like, why would I put myself in my audience to do that, right? Check my egg timers. Ooh, my verdant egg is almost done. Might wait on that one, actually. See what I get. Ooh. I want more ingots. I want a lot more ingots. That's what that tells me. So, I mean, yeah, this is where I come out here with this and just do the Minecraft. And I'm sure there are better ways to harvest this stuff. I'm sure that there's a way to get my mods to do it too. I haven't thought about it too much, because I figure if it just respawns in my camp all the time, because it does here for some reason. Oh, by the way, my camp location, if you decide to go over to the Fort Ruins and the little hill off to the, the west, like straight west of the fast travel point, basically. Like, I'll get up here and show it to you. Like, there, you can see the fast travel point. You can also see the other landmarkers. Like, I can easily make it to, where's that tower? I can easily just, like, fly over to that tower. Or I could walk over to the beginning area, which isn't that far from here either. It's actually that little mound over there, that mountainous hill-looking thing over there. I mean, it's an okay spot. Like, the only bad guys that have made it into my base have had to come over this bridge right here. So, like, yeah, the rest of them all get stuck on the surrounding hill, which basically turns them into free resources or free crater catch. And, and oh, by the way, I don't think the word bestiary is copyright. I could be wrong about that, and I'm pretty sure the word critter can't be copyright. So you could have called the pals critters just as easily, and called the pal deck your bestiary, and probably would have been just fine. Like, literally no one would have said two words about, oh, you're ripping off Pokemon on that. I mean, there's like a million different word combinations, I'm sure, that I'm not even thinking of. Or you could even make something up, like the Senator guy from that Metal Gear game that everyone's memeing about. Again, I can't believe I have to say this on a YouTube channel because I've said it a million times. I actually didn't get into Metal Gear, which is kind of a shame because I hear it's really good, but, like, it just wasn't my thing. You know, sue me. I have my own tastes. Big deal. I'm not gonna crap all over it. It just wasn't my thing. Stealth games generally aren't. Tactical shooters aren't. I tried one on the PlayStation Portable, but that just didn't tickle my fancy too well. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of really weird issues to talk about. And to be honest with you, I just, like, I don't care to talk about them anymore, and that's more my fault than it is the world's, but, like, my motivation to discuss the issues on these gaming videos is low to begin with. Like, I'm having fun, enjoying a game. Why do I want to talk about Joe Biden falling down another set of stairs or falling off of another bicycle or some other vocal flub that he does somewhere? Let's see what we got. Or, you know, Donald Trump stomping in the friggin' Republican stuff. Like, why do I want to talk about that? I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. And if you're wondering why I'm not opening that, it's for my fiance, because she'll get on here later with me and we'll play this together. I would like to try to get her on stream too, but, like, she's not very camera... I'm not as adverse to cameras as she is. Let's put it that way. Like, it's not because of her appearance, she just doesn't care for cameras. Me, on the other hand, cameras, they're there. They're a part of our life, I guess. Take her to leave it. You know, if it makes me rich because I hit it big on my YouTube channel, then it served a purpose. If it doesn't do anything and someone happens to run across this stuff years from now and realizes, oh, hey, they did this stuff in the past and look how bad it ended up, then it served a purpose. Anything outside of that is just kind of, meh, whatever. Is what it is. You know, what more do you want me to say about that? There's nothing else to say. Like, it just is. You'll also notice that I kind of changed my layout a little bit in my little streaming corner here. The desk just wasn't doing it for me because, believe it or not, if I accidentally left this camera on streaming all night, you'd actually realize that I sleep in this chair. I eat in this chair. I basically live out of this freaking chair, and it's not because of a physical disability, it's just because, like, I have food, I have water, I have books to read, I have games to play. My fiance and I are both gamers. We enjoy each other's company at the house, and yes, we do go out and do stuff when I'm not streaming and when I'm not home, but, like, unless it's something that we want to do or something that we have to do, like, why would we go out and do it, you know? Especially if it's not something that if it was something that we didn't want to do, like, why would we bother, is kind of more the point. I mean, unless there was some, like, moral imperative of doing it, which I don't necessarily agree with the idea that things should have a moral imperative to doing them. I feel like the lack of desire to do something defeats the moral imperative argument in general. My reason for thinking that is, like, if you're doing something because you morally feel like you're obligated to do it, you're not doing it because you want to, you're doing it because you have to. And, or you're doing it because someone else did a thing. Which is fine, you can live your life the way that you want, but don't steal from the rich and give to the poor and not expect me to understand that, hey, it's still theft in the eyes of the law, you know? Don't paint a turd and tell me it's chocolate, you know? It is what it is. I am a fat, lazy goofball who likes to play video games and likes to play video games with his fiance and loves to run his mouth online. And apparently loves to constantly forget that these stat points exist. You know. But there again, I also need to make the point that my lifestyle of living that way is my choice. I live in a space that could easily fit in the back of a van. I'm not kidding. I sleep in a chair. My computer and video game setup, once you subtract the big screen and just isolate off to the way things are where I sit, I could wire this into a van. Absolutely. Sure. I wouldn't be able to run my Xbox Series S without probably hooking up to some sort of out of van power supply or like some innovative solar technology that I haven't heard of yet, which doesn't make it innovative, just means I haven't heard of it yet. Like a new nuclear power cell that can suck the power right out of the solar panels or the solar panels can do their job at like 50 to 75% efficiency, and that nuclear power battery is going to last for fucking eons and take on so much electricity at once, and yada yada yada. I mean, that sounds great, because then we don't need the power companies, right? We can just plug our nuclear power batteries into a solar panel for like one sunny day, and it's good for a whole year. That'd be great. Like, everyone wants that, but will we ever see it? Probably not. If we're being honest about it, most likely we will never see it. But we'd like to. We'd all love to. Oh man, especially as Manus. We get tired of paying CMP and our other electricity suppliers, buttloads of money, because damages happen, man. Which, hey, by the way, damages happen, man. Solar technology, the way that it is, I would hate to have to pay to replace solar panels after all the crap weather we've had this year. Windstorms, just kind of pick a disgusting weather, right? Like right now, we're getting ice pellets, man, and like nastiness, and it's just a little disheartening to realize that. But once you realize it's just the way that the world works, then whatever. Climate change is real, and it's gonna happen whether humans are here or not. Plain and simple. Whether I fart more than my neighbor does has zero effect on climate change. It just means that I fart more than my neighbor. And yes, this will get some community note or shadow banned or yada yada yada. I'm pretty sure my channels in general are going to be shadow banned, because I'm not a leftist liberal lunatic who's going to sit here and tell you to get your kids transitioned. Or embrace the climate religion, or sit here and pander to the left. If I ever pandered to a group, it would probably be to the right, but I don't pander, so I just say what's on my mind. And, whether you agree with it or not is fine. And you know what? That's another thing, too. Like, I don't have to be right about everything. I don't mind being wrong about stuff. I'd rather be wrong and be corrected than be right and be an ass. But more times than not in my life, I've ended up being right and an ass. I don't like it. It's not a very fun feeling when you alienate people because they annoy you. And they annoy you because they're constantly wrong about what they're saying, or they're right for the wrong reasons. And you constantly have to clarify for them that, hey, you have either the right idea or you're just outright wrong. Here's where you're wrong. It gets a little old. It really does. It's like, I quit smoking a year ago. I know. Yay. Good for me, right? But, like, I kind of feel like having to constantly correct people makes me want to miss smoking, Even though I know it's bad for me, it's like, I feel like the level of stuff that we constantly have to correct here is just, like, really annoying. Like, not that he was wrong, but something that most people forget about. And it's very easy to forget about. A certain streamer that I was watching earlier today was reacting to an OnlyFans shaming video, which, I mean, I'm going to outright say it. If you're doing OnlyFans, I actually am not going to say that, because, like, I'm thinking about my own life right now, and I'm like, dude, if I could get away with it, would I? Probably not, but, like, I can understand why other people do. But you shouldn't also be pushing it on to, like, younger kids and whatnot, because OnlyFans is not for kids. that's my stance, and I will die on that hill. So fight me if you want. But the reality is, you are fighting against someone who's actually right on it. But like, anyway, back to the whole thing about the income thing, though. Like, I get it. I worked for 2 years for Walmart, changing oil in cars. In that time, I had to live with my in-laws, my then in-laws, and it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't terrible, but it definitely wasn't ideal. And I suspect that it played a decent role in me both losing my job and also losing my relationship at the time. There were other factors, but I guarantee you that played a decent role. But like I saw the young lady on YouTube Shorts earlier say, people from the previous generations who wrecked the system, who made it the way that it is, want to sit here and call us lazy because we throw up our hands and say, no, we're not playing the game of stupidity and futility. You're entitled to your opinion, but that's exactly what it is, just your friggin' opinion. Alright? We should not be held responsible for your screw-ups, and that is really what it boils down to. And I said the same thing about reparations. In no way, shape, or form is anyone in America in this day and age old enough to have been alive during the Civil War. No one is. You will not find a single person in America old enough. And I mean that was here in America when it happened. So therefore, your claim of reparations makes 0 sense. Alright? I am not responsible for the sins of my father, or his father, or the fathers before him, and the same thing goes on down the side of my mother too. I'm not responsible for their actions. I'm responsible for my own. I will not pay you for the actions of those people. Whether you like it or not is irrelevant. You're not getting a red cent. Too bad. Go cry in a corner because it's the only thing you can do. Literally. It's my money, not yours. I choose where it goes and where it doesn't. And when I say no to reparations, no to reparations, and you can go F right off. You know? And to the other stupid liberal attempt at a talking point, which is really dumb, about the Native Americans. I have Native American lineage. I'm not going to say that it's enough to say that I'm Native American, but I have some there. So when I say this, I want you to understand really well what I mean. Before white men came along, Native Americans, some tribes, constantly at war with each other. Like, over resources and stuff. So white man coming along and doing the same exact thing was quite literally just another friggin' day. It just happened to be the last time that it friggin' happened because it was so overwhelmingly dominant that they had to let it happen. I mean, look at what happened in Oklahoma when that one tribe refused to hand over its guns. I mean, you know, when the government tells you you shouldn't or can't have guns, that right there is the proof in the pudding that you need guns and you need to be willing and able to use them. You might not like it. YouTube definitely isn't going to like it, and I'm probably going to get like an adults-only censorship thing thrown on here for it. But like, it's the truth. I'm not calling for violence against the government by no stretch of the imagination, but like, there will come a point in time in human history where it's going to happen. And, you know, it's always going to happen. It's going to keep happening. Because anytime that you have one group of people that says that they have some sort of dominion or rule over another group of people, you're inevitably going to run into that problem. We already did here in the States. It's called the Civil War. It was a fight over slavery. It was a fight over a couple other things too, but predominantly it was labeled off as slavery. There was also a lot of politics and cotton trade stuff involved too that I'm not going to get into, but there it is. You know. What was the main markets back in the day? Cotton, tobacco, and, well, I mean, you had your obvious food markets and stuff, yeah, but, like, cotton and tobacco were two of your bigger markets, you know, and nowadays, it's, what, services? services and more services, which is actually, I believe that's a big problem. We handed a lot of our, and I use Social Security not to infer the, actually I won't use Social Security as a thing, because most people when you say that, they think like Social Security income or Social Security disability. No, what I actually mean is like societal security. We've lost some of that out of our willingness to throw stuff at China and say, here, do this for us. Well, guess what? Now China's our potential enemy in the future, and might be now. And they handle our pharmaceuticals, and our food, and our clothes. And what else do they handle? Let's see here. What other imports do we get from China? Like, you know. And the fact that the Biden family gets money from China and just keeps doing this stuff just kind of like says it all that you need to friggin' hear. And they're not the only politicians that do this either. They're just the big, like, patriarchy from Dragon Maid's moment. You know, they're the shining example of it because they're the most recent and egregious example of it that's been seen so far. You know, and that is the truth. Like, literally, I kid you not, if Biden was never president, no one would be talking about his son's illicit deals. Not a single person. No one would be talking about any. And I'm not defending Biden or his family. They have done horrible things. And people who do horrible things should absolutely be punished. The problem is that we live in a society that does not believe in true justice. It believes in a two-tiered justice system. And it is the truth. Like, it exists. And it's not just two-tiered either. It's like 10 or 12 different tiers of justice here we're talking about at least. It's probably an infinite scale. It's like a slider scale when you go to get your weight done at the hospital at this point. Like, how politically involved are you and with which groups kind of thing? How religious are you? And, you know, it just goes on. How much money did you donate? To who? You know, and that's just kind of sad that is become the ruling thing over whether you go to jail or not. Is how much of a pain in which politician's butt you've been. You know, like how bad of a person are you has like no bearing on it at all. And it just is the way that it is because, yeah, reasons, right? And I think that's a load of crap. Like, when the Constitution says equal justice under the law, that's the rule that we should live by. To the letter. But we don't. We don't. Heck no, we don't. I know we don't. I'm not naive enough to think that we do. You know. And I don't know if we'll ever be able to get back to... excuse me, to get back to a constitutional lifestyle in this country. I'm not sure. I think that I kind of feel like I definitely feel like we're trading off our rights here. Like, people will give up. I don't know how to put this in a way that makes sense, but like, it's like people want to protect the First Amendment, but the people that protect the Second Amendment are treated as second-class citizens, if that makes sense. Like, you have an entire organization like the ACLU that will protect freedom of speech as long as it's speech that they agree with. But the second that someone tries to defend the Second Amendment, it's like, nah, don't care, you know? And that's a problem. The ACLU is probably the most politically biased, quote-unquote, civil rights organization that exists in this country. And they have a lot of resources. That's why I like places like ACLJ better. You know, I think that some of these groups like ACLJ could definitely be doing a better job, and definitely, 100%, people like me should be, you know, doing more too. Not saying that we should, not just sitting here complaining into a mic and a camera. But at the end of the day, this mic and this camera and my video games and my Bible and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, fiance and dog are, you know, they're the things and people and stuff that I have in my life, they're not, they're basically all that I have. Like, I have my kid, yeah, but, like, I can't show my kid on stream as far as I'm aware. I can't even put her on YouTube, which sucks because I think that, her shenanigans would absolutely be amusing to some people on YouTube, but it won't happen. And also, if I did, I run the risk of running afoul of certain freaks on social media, and it's like, you can't win either way. You really can't. And even when it goes good, like, it's not really that good for the kid, because then you run into a situation like this, where this poor chicken is just, like, totally pulling a I'm stupid, thanks for asking moment on the freaking cliff here. And I have to do it this way. Okay, oh, that's fine, that's why we do it this way. I should have done it this way to begin with. Just pick a chicken. Go down to the chicken that's being a problem, and replace the chicken. Not that hard. Oh, look, a workaholic chicken. There we go. But and here I have been rambling on for the better part of 52 minutes. And, like, the only person on my stream right now is me monitoring my chat box, hoping to see a viewer. But the reality is that I'm not consistent enough on my YouTube, and by no stretch of the imagination am I entertaining. At least I'm not entertaining alone. You get my fiance into the picture, then the entertainment value kind of goes up, because I have someone that I'm actually interacting with, and the situation gets better because, like, I have someone to laugh with and talk to, and can actually discuss these bigger issues and what they actually think, what she thinks and feels. And, yeah, like, it's like the comic book anime thing, like, manga issue that's going on right now. A lot of people out there like to couple in for marketing reasons and say, oh, manga and comic books are the same, so therefore comic books, when in reality they're different. Manga is usually from out of country, usually. There are some from in country, but it's rare. When people talk comics, they're thinking like Western art styles, like your DC and Marvel comic stuff, But, there again, it's the same thing on YouTube. Like, people like to generally say, you're a YouTuber, you make really boring React content, or your game, you create video game videos or tutorials, which, by the way, I seriously doubt that I will be able to do decent tutorials in the future, but I'm thinking about it, and I'm contemplating either, like, woodworking or auto mechanics, because, like, tutorial videos do better on YouTube than game videos do. And I feel like me doing something with my hands that's not, video games would definitely work better for me anyway, because, like, then I can actually do something creative and productive. Like, I feel like this is... I mean, I'm sure it is the quote-unquote way to go for some people, quote-unquote, but, like, is it really my way to go? We'll see, we'll find out, but I don't know. I'm thinking about actually stopping doing the Remnant 2 stuff. I've already beaten the game on my own with, like, a group of friends, and it's a great game. It really is. I can't recommend it enough. But, I mean, at some point in my life, there is a point that I have to come to terms with the fact that I am a Christian. I do believe in God, and I do believe in Jesus Christ. I believe that He died on the cross for my sins. And I need to start putting more time into that too. But I don't really feel comfortable, like, I know there's no, like, you don't need certifications to talk about religious stuff on YouTube. If you did, then, like, half of religious streams wouldn't even exist, or videos for that matter. But, like, it's also a self-confidence thing for me, right? Like, I have my own ideas, sure. Are they right? Probably not. Maybe. We'll find out. I'll definitely find out one way or the other. But the Bible says some things about being in a leadership role that kind of disqualifies me from being in a leadership role as far as that goes. So, like, the fact that I have a daughter out of wedlock is one of those things that disqualifies me for it. My drug usage and other sins against God prior to being forgiven. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be perfect to be a church leader or whatever, but, like, leadership roles have a higher standard than anything else in the church, like they do. And the Bible says it in its own passages that you have to be, like, of a certain level of good. And I don't mean, like, just, like, lawful good. I mean just, like, pure good kind of thing. You have to follow certain rules that other believers like myself haven't followed, which basically is an instant disqualification for a leadership role in the church. And I know that. I understand that. I'm not stupid. You know? But on that note, like, if I could do something to lead people to God and make them understand that the Bible is a real thing, then I feel like I should. But at the same token, I understand that the two things that I just said do come into conflict with each other. I'm not dumb. I will not ever be considered godly enough to be a pastor or a priest. I will not ever be a youth group pastor or a priest. Okay? 2 kids out of wedlock. It's just not going to happen. The church will never okay it, and I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. That's fine. But at the same token, I can have a bad past and still use that experience to help others, and use my knowledge of what I've learned about the Bible on my years on this earth to inform people about, hey, you know, you should not be listening to what all of your non-religious secular friends are saying about the Bible, because they don't know what they're talking about. They really don't. And I think Vodi Bakum does a better job of explaining that and defending the Bible than I ever could. And that is the truth. That is the truth. But most people won't watch him because they'll either pull some racist card out of their backside, or, you know, or they'll be racist themselves, or they'll just write it off as religious propaganda or whatever and call it a day. And those people, I'm going to say it, those people, you'll never convert those people. They're too hard of heart, and it's just not going to happen. Right? Like, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Or whatever analogy involving horses that you want to do. Pick one. There's probably a million of them. Oh. Yay! Another tombat, okay. Oh, duh. It's not timered out yet. Hey, look at that. I pulled a dumb move. Yay. But anyway, I think an hour is about long enough on this video, but the religious thing I'll talk about in the next video session that I do for PalWorld or something. Like, we can definitely go there if people want to. Why is that thing so darn depressed? It's got food, it's got water, it's got a hot tub. For some reason, according to this, it's extremely unhealthy due to neglect. I guarantee you, I go to bed at night in this game and wake up the next morning and it won't be. But just for safety's sake, we'll do the thing. Right? Oh, they must have fixed the thing. Okay. That's fine. The diet lever can just totally go back up here. And, yeah. We'll put the shiny one down here. That is also a diet lever. No. No, it's not. I still had the other one selected. Destructive and brittle. Not the modifiers I wanted. Not gonna lie. That's a problem. So we'll have Ruby in there because Ruby is just a botanical barrier. Okay, that's adorable. Yep, it's a little fire Bambi with long ears. That's adorable. Or maybe it's supposed to be a fox and a deer cross. I don't know. It's cute. It blows fire. It has fire coming out of its head in 2 different directions. So it's cute and deadly. So whatever. It works. Does the job. Anyway, yeah. I think that's about gonna do it for tonight. Hopefully my views and opinions don't drive people away from, watching my videos. I'm hoping that my videos actually do better, but, we'll see. We shall see. Anyway, good night, y'all. Hopefully everyone has a good night. We're not doing so well weather-wise. We're getting mixed weather, so